I was going out the gate this morning, and I see a FedEx man has been here, and that's not something you could miss. Well, what this thing is, or it will be when I get it all together, which is going to be a bit of a job, is a sandblasting cabinet. Though I'm not going to use it for sand, I'm using it for glass beads. But you can buy the smaller benchtop ones, but you're kind of limited to the size of stuff you can do in there, and I need it big enough to do like a cylinder head. So this should do the trick, but there's a zillion screws and a lot of weather stripping. This happens to be a Redline brand, but of course it's made in China, like a lot of stuff like this is. But I was glad to see it shipped good. There was the glass and everything wasn't, because this is all glass in front, that wasn't broken. It seems to be a fairly sturdy unit. Well, I tell you, the box is plenty heavy. And I am familiar with these. Motorcycle shop we worked at had one that we used all the time. Really almost indispensable for working on small engines. But for cleaning up anything that's got paint and rust and scale or carbon particularly, like say I have to do my motorcycle heads. I've got several heads I want to do. And if you're going to driving the belt guides out in an aluminum head, you really want to blast around the guide before you knock it out, or you end up oversizing the hole. So it's really what I wanted it for. This is kind of a middle of the line one. You could buy a cheap one for like $150. Harbor Freight sells a similar model, though smaller. Like I say, this is up. You can spend thousands of dollars on them. This is around a $400 one. But it looks good, and looks like it shipped well, which is what impressed me. But that was $400 with the shipping. But I figured, well, I brought it over to my brother's. I'm going to put it together in his shop because he's got a big enough air compressor to run it. My air compressor would never. I could use it in the maintainer shed, but I think he'll get a lot of use out of it too. Because anytime you're working with rusty, dirty parts, these things are really handy. But I got a lot of screwing to do. I'm glad I brought my DeWalt along. Neater. And then everything's got to be weather stripped so that it's kind of airtight. Though one of the selling points on this particular one, a lot of times to keep dust down, people will hook up a shop vac to them. This actually has an air-powered ventilation unit, which I think is pretty slick. There's a turbine in there that actually spins, that will suck. So you can just put an exhaust hose on this and blow it out, because sand or any silica dust can be very damaging to your lungs. So you really have to have the cabinet very well weather stripped, and you have to have it ventilating someplace. And like I say, people use a shop vac, but it kind of wrecks shop vacs. So if I could vent this outside someplace, that's the way to go. But a lot of setup to do here. Use a kit. But it looks like a reasonable one for that price. Like I say, I'm used to using one in a motorcycle shop that I worked in, and it's been hard to be without one. So I'll be glad to have one of these again. Have access to one. Very handy tool. Well, I did get her all together, but it's been an all-day job. A lot of moving crap around, but it looks pretty good. And good size, decent sized cabinet. And they were nice enough to give me, well, they got 3 extra, the ceramic cones that go in the end of the gun, because you do wear them out. And extra plastic sheets that cover the glass, because, if you don't have plastic over this, it'll etch your glass. So it's good to have plastic and just replace it once in a while. So I'm pleased with it. I got to get a couple fittings for the air intake and to run this turbine that'll suck air through it. Solidly made, but a lot of screws. Whole lot of screws. I wouldn't even think of starting one of them without a driver. You could be doing it for a long time. But that speeded things up a little bit. Still, whew, a lot of screws. But good solid unit. I'm pleased with that. Got plenty of work for it.